Okay, and welcome back to Let's Play Gothic 3. I wanted to actually save the game and load it so I could talk to you a little bit while we're starting. Basically, we just saw the intro. The guys got off the boat, realized that the mainland had been overrun by orcs, and anyway, they're all going up to this village. They see the orcs up there. This game kind of starts you out in a battle as sort of a tutorial. You can't really lose the battle, so don't worry too much about it if you're playing this along at home. But one thing that you kind of get used to is how to fight, and you know, there's a lot to be said about graphic settings. You might have to tweak those, you might have to turn off the hints, etc. There's a lot of things that you might have to do. But let's go ahead and do the battle, and I'll kind of talk to you along as we go. Okay, so push spacebar to pull out your weapon. I always like to kill this boss guy first. He's the boss, and you know, he's got some stuff on him, and your goal in this battle is to, oops, I'm not doing well, is to kill enough orcs to get them to retreat. And that doesn't mean you don't have to kill them all, but you have to kill enough of them to get them to retreat. And that means that some will be left alive, inevitably, and therefore you want to make sure you kill this guy because he's got some stuff on him that you're going to want. Plus, just from a storyline perspective, it makes sense to kill him. Come on. Damn it. I really wanted that experience. You gotta land the killing blow to get the experience, and so it's very important that you do that if you can. Also, with the content mod added, some of these weapons and definitely a lot of the textures look very different than the vanilla version of the game. Ow. Okay, and then here's what happens if you die in this battle. And so I've died, but you know, you basically fall unconscious for a minute, then you can get back up and pick up your weapon, and you'll end up with just a little sliver of health. Now if you want, you can push I, and that will freeze any enemy that's coming over to attack you. And then you can go over to the potion screen and click on them manually, or you can just push 5 in the hotbar, which is what they're defaulted to, at least in this version. But I'm going to go over here and join the battle down here now that we've killed the boss. These orcs are fighting with a bunch of mercenaries and slaves that have escaped or whatever, or people that were working as slaves in this town. And so your goal is to kill them and save the townsfolk and others who are here from the orcs. The only people that are really important are the people that came off the boat with you, though, and this mayor guy, Hamlar, who we'll talk to in just a minute. But I've also got something called alternative AI turned on, which means that I can't just spam the attack button like the original game. You have to kind of plan your attacks. It's a lot harder, and I've actually never played with it before, so I'm not used to it, so that's probably why I'm not doing the best. But let's see if I can get better at it as we go. Whoop. Apparently not. Gorn is one of the people that came off the ship with me here. Damn it. Okay, I gotta be more thoughtful here. But one of the things the content mod does that you'll notice right away if you've played the vanilla version, in addition to some mechanics and graphic overhauls and things, it also adds some characters and plot issues to the game, which is pretty cool. Damn it, I didn't get the experience. There we go. And anyway,
stop right there.
Alright, you're going down, Archer. It adds some characters there that apparently came off the boat. They're from the first game or something. Okay, don't kill me, guy. Hey, I didn't mean to. Okay, this is something you gotta be careful about, and that's hitting your teammates.
Don't mess with me again.
Fortunately, we're in the part of the game where it doesn't really matter if you die, so that is not going to be an issue. But that's something we're going to have to be really careful about. Now, this is a guy from the, I think the first, maybe the second game. And anyway, some of these subtitles are not voiced. We followed you to the village. Go around and heckled the orcs. Okay, some of the translation from German is not so good. They fight like beginners. What will you do next? These subtitles are really slow. That I've been waiting for so long. That is not really an answer. Okay, I can click. I go to the capital city. There are some people I have a bone to pick. Great translation. Okay, so anyway, after you end the battle, you basically want to go around town and loot the town. I may not show that in its entirety. I'm going to show a little part of it. But you're also going to want to talk to everybody eventually. I guess I'll just start here. By the way, you know, when you loot weapons and stuff, it shows up here. Something that the mod content pack did or whatever, it changed the name of some of these orc weapons. This is a mighty orc axe. I think it used to be a krush aguk or something like that. But anyway, it only changed some of them, and the textures look really good. I spent quite a long time trying to figure out how to get the lighting adjusted that will be good for LP series here. And it took me quite a while, but I eventually figured it out. And I think I've got it looking pretty good. Also, the mod pack changed a lot of the graphics as far as like the character's head and body, and a lot of the armors. The orc armors are all different. The names of the orcs are different. You know, there's just a lot of stuff that ended up being different. Let me talk to this guy. A nice butchering. It's a pleasure to fight alongside of well-skilled warriors like you. I'm Tristan the Bowman. What's your take on this situation? About this hickdown. Hickdown. Not much. I arrived some days ago. I was careless, so the orcs catch me. I think he means the orcs caught me. But I guess you mean Mirtana instead. Kings, paladins had Faring and Vingard in hand until the Black Mage. Boy, this is horrible translating. I'm gonna skip through this. So he's telling me what's happening here. Orcs ambushed him, and they captured him. And his orders were to look for support for the rebellion. And I'm asking about Zardis now. And so he has not had contact with the people that gave him these orders. Something happened to the runes that gave the paladins their power. Now he searches for equipment, and he's looking around here. There's some food over here on this statue. This is a statue of Enos, by the way, one of the deities in this game. The deity that's associated with the fire mages and light and fire and goodness. Hey, Anger, is the mainland as you expected it? We left Karina. He must have come on the boat with us, maybe. Undead Dragon was defeated. This is a reference to the second game. Everything else will happen to the given time. What will you do next? I will search for a patch of ground to relax, probably in sunnier climes. So he's probably going to go to Verant, which is the desert in the south. One thing I'm doing right away that you're going to want to be aware of is I'm pressing Control every time I click on something I want to loot. That causes me to sneak like this. It makes me move slower and crouch down. But it also cuts out some of the animation. Here's Lairs. We'll see him later in the game. Well, do you scan the house for valuable stuff? He's going to go to Geldern or a bigger city and take a look there. So that's just a clue that you're going to see him later in Geldern. Unclear again whether he was a captured person like Lee, or whether he was from your ship from the second game.
We'll talk later.
Trying to pick up this wine here. Okay. Having trouble not targeting these guys. Casket and bread. I want the bread. Oh, this is so annoying. Okay, well, anyway, I'm gonna leave that bread, I guess. No big deal. So you want to go around to each building, and I just go in a big circle. There's only one part of this that you have to not do in a circle, and that's in this little alleyway that's behind some buildings I'll show you in a minute. Unfortunately, a lot of the slaves died in the battle, which is inevitable, especially with the mod content. You know, it's just the slaves are so monumentally weaker compared to everybody else involved in the battle that they're likely to die. If not all of them, then almost all of them. But don't worry, they'll be replenished you know, one thing you'll see is that the village will be repopulated eventually.
There's nothing new here.
These lecterns, you know, if it says bookshelf instead of lectern, it would give you a skill. Unfortunately, one of the things that I don't like about the mod content pack is that it unfortunately took away a lot of the bookshelves and made them into lecterns, thus making it harder to learn from them, or less likely, I should say, to learn from them. So you can't learn quite as much, but you can still learn some things. And one of the things that the people who have been modding this game have tried to do is to make it a little bit harder to get skills and level up and stuff, because the perception from the original game was that it was too easy to get levels and skills and things. You could basically be a master of all trades and not have to work at it. So that was one of the things that they did. It doesn't necessarily increase the game difficulty. I mean, it does technically, but it's really more about... and here's a bookshelf where you can learn something, by the way.
Here it says something about alchemy.
So the thinking was, let's go ahead and make it so it's harder to gain levels and skills so that you really don't become overpowered early in the game. There's so much content to this game. This is a very long game with a lot of stuff in it. And basically, I think people thought, if you do everything in the game, you get overpowered very quickly, and so they wanted to kind of space that out a little bit, make your character feel like he was growing more, and they'll give you some benefits, actually.
I don't have the ingredients for that.
By the way, I picked up this healing potion, and so if I had some ingredients that I could make a healing potion with, I could make one at an alchemist bench. We'll see more about that later. But anyway, that's what the alternative, and I can't remember, alternative balancing, I think is what they call it, yeah. Okay, so I've got quite a few arrows. I thought I had quite a bit less than that, but I must have picked some up or something. Okay, the one place where you can't go in a circle is this little shop here, so just kind of pop over to here real quick. Got the axe. This is a little merchant's house, brush and hammer. These little doodads are part of immersion, but I don't think they really do anything. The brush and the hammer and so forth. You might need them for a quest or something along the way. There's not a lot in this little house, so if you miss it, that's no big deal. Just try to remember where you started and which direction you're going. So anyway, I haven't been in here yet. Let's go ahead and check this out. Chest that's red like that means it's locked, so you have to unlock it with a lockpick like these. And by good fortune, I got a couple lockpicks after I used one to lock that, so I profited by one lockpick. Basically here you're just looking around on the tables and chests. The chests are the main thing. You just left click on the chest to open them. I think there is a method to skip the chest opening animation or something, but I'll have to look. I need to see here. Oh yeah, okay. If you crouch and right click on the chest, you'll get everything inside without having to do the animation. So that's kind of a time saver.
Nothing more to be had.
See, I just did that again and it told me it was empty. Okay, so I'm very satisfied with how these graphics have turned out, and I think, let me just check this. I told my system to keep a minimum frame rate of 30. I think it's going to go up in certain places, and it's definitely going to go down if there's a big major battle. So I'll hide that again. But, I'm okay with that. I think it's going to work out to be a pretty high definition video. I record my fraps at full screen. I record it at just pretty good settings. I have a decent machine, decent graphics card, decent RAM and everything. Here's a little taste of the beauty of this game. Now, we saw in the intro the king create this big bubble around the castle. That's very reminiscent of the first game, where the king's magicians created a bubble around the penal colony. And so that's one thing we're going to be dealing with as the game progresses, is how do we deal with that bubble that's surrounding the king city? Do we try to liberate the king city? Do we try to get in there? And I mean, one of the other great things about this game is that it's so immersive that you can choose your path. You can choose your destiny. It's a little dark here, and you're probably having trouble seeing that. I thought I had done a lot to make it so it was lighter, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and sleep because I need to anyway. My health is low. Okay, I slept until the next morning, so I'm feeling better. Full health again. Look at how nice and warm these textures are. You know, when the vanilla game isn't quite this good, because obviously some of the graphics have been updated and so forth, but let me take a look at my video settings real quick. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Oh. Okay, so what happened here is my game crashed, and I'm not sure why. Actually, it didn't crash. It just went to the desktop, and I couldn't get it to go back to the screen. So I had to redo the battle because I hadn't saved it afterwards. And then I ran into this guy, and this is an important dialogue, so I figured I'd bring you in. So here we go. You fought well. I didn't expect this looking on your stature. Hey, make a break. You hunger look. I'm sorry, but... Alright, even if it doesn't tough, there are almost all muscles. Where do you come from, and why do you look so skinny? I came from Carinus. It was a long journey. What has happened before we arrived? The orcs always search for fresh slaves. Ardea has been free until recently, free of orcs, but alas, free of rebels too. The orcs simply showed up and took control. Farmers able to work, blacksmiths, alchemists, and simple residents they wanted to displace. So where did they take the slaves? Often to ancient temples, ruins, or mines. In fact, they're where you can excavate something, etc. Are all the orcs searching for something? Who knows? Perhaps buried treasure. I can't help you with this. Where can I find more people who will guard the village? Some days ago, a heavily armored men arrived in the village. His name was Tristan. The orcs enslaved them too, but he is still here. Maybe he can tell you where to find guards. Okay. So, one thing that's different from the, and I'll start looting from the other direction now so you see something fresh, and then I'll cut out the repeat looting. But anyway, the, and here's the blacksmith shop, by the way, and just doesn't matter of tradition. I like to leave some of this stuff, just to make it look nice in here, because you don't really need all this. And anyway, if you're new to the game and you want to make a little bit more money, I mean, feel free to take more than I am here, but I like to leave a couple weapons and shields and stuff here and there. Important, this is a blacksmithing recipe here, so you want to grab that. But anyway, one difference between the mod pack and the vanilla version is that in the mod pack version, this guy named Tristan is around, and he ends up taking some of the place of your friend Gorn, who ends up being sort of your liaison into the rebel world in the vanilla version. In this modded version, it's Tristan who does that. Gorn helps you too, but he goes a slightly different route this time than the vanilla version. So this is a blacksmith. There's a lot of stuff in here. You want to grab that. Some weapons and stuff. And the smith's hammer was laying right here. You're going to want that for smithing later. You can find them later in the game, of course. But now I want to show you this. Now, I already picked up his weapon, but here's the boss that we fought right here. And I already looted him, and he had nothing at all on him. And that's different from the vanilla version, too, because in the vanilla version, he has a map, a world map on him. See, if I push the M button, you can see I have no documents right now. This little button here. And so that's something different, and that's unfortunate. We need him. It would be nice to have a map. I'll come talk to them in just a minute. But anyway, I'm going to stay within the walls of the city.
With what?
And just make sure we loot everything in the city. But anyway, just so you know, looting is part of the game, and it happens especially after major battles in cities. You loot when you liberate a city or you conquer a city. If you loot while the city is peaceful, you want to take the stuff on this table, by the way. If you loot while the city is peaceful, you'll be accused of theft and probably killed or punished somehow. And either way, you just don't want that. So make sure you loot when the opportunity strikes, but not during times when it would be bad to loot. This one is a luck turn again, so we're not going to be able to get any information out of it.
I know that.
Okay, so not a whole lot down here. Nothing, actually. Beautiful moon, by the way. I think the original vanilla, the graphics of the sky, especially at night, were not that good. Maybe it was just the computer I was using when I played the vanilla version. It was a little bit less good quality computer than this one, but pretty good graphics. Sorry, I just want to make sure I was recording. Pretty good graphics here in this one. Oh, I thought it said steel, not stool. Okay. Well, nothing you can really do up here now that in this mod pack version. Definitely want to check the slaves out. They have food, bread heals you a little bit. Water is very useful for creating other things. One of the most important things that the mod pack does, and I'm not, I keep referring to the mod pack, but I'm implicitly also referring to the quest pack because those are the two installs that you want to do. The mod pack and or the quest pack add a whole bunch of crafting recipes to the game that were not in the vanilla version, despite the fact that it seemed like they should have been, because, I mean, for example, there were some recipes in the game that did not have ingredients, and there were clearly some items that were clearly only ingredients that had no recipe. And basically it seemed like it was unfinished, like somebody was planning a robust crafting system but only had time to implement a part of it. And actually, if you read up on the history of this game, you will realize that that's exactly what happened. The developers in the Piranha Bytes studio, which I think is the German studio, were given some sort of deadline by Joe Wood Studios, or it might have been the other way around. Don't quote me on that. One of the two studios that was involved in making the game pressured the one that was actually making the game to move up production a little faster. And now we're getting back into the places I've already looted here. So anyway, they had to rush it out. Things were broken. There were bugs. The game crashed a lot. The fighting was broken. I must say, in this current version that I'm using right now, the fighting strikes a good balance between the original vanilla fighting system and the alternate, what do they call it? Alternate AI fighting system or whatever it's called, which was basically that thing where you can no longer just spam the click button. Well, now you can kind of spam the click button and swing your, if you push spacebar, you pull out your weapon, press the number on the hotbar to pull out the one you want, and if you left click, you swing it normally like this. If you right click, you swing it fast like that, which is kind of cool. If you hold right click, you hold your weapon up to block, which blocks everything but a power attack. If you hold the left click button, you do a power attack. If you hold the left click button and then push the right click button, you do the same as if you were tapping the right click button. If you hold the right click button and then press the left click button, you either plunge forward like that, which is a cool attack, or if the enemy is knocked unconscious, you do that and you stab them to death. You execute them, basically. Power attack, like a baseball bat. Anyway, I'm going to keep going around and looting the places I haven't showed you yet. But basically, once you finish looting, then we'll talk to some folks over here. So I'm going to finish that up off camera. Another reason I wanted to redo this LP is because my first one I didn't do a lot of off-camera stuff. I had some great on-camera stuff and some great maps and things that I added, which I'm going to try to do this time as well. But, oops, I keep forgetting to right-click. But I'm going to do a lot more off-camera stuff. So I'll see you in a bit once I finish looting the town. All right? Okay, so I decided to bring you back in on this one. Here we have Hamler. I talked to Hamler, the mayor guy, and he said go talk to Tristan about defense. So let's talk to him and see what he says. He fears the orcs will come back. After all, that's the problem. The orcs are uneasy, especially near the barrier last time, but I know that a rebel outpost exists in the woods. I will take you there so we can talk to the leader. So we're supposed to go to the rebel outpost, and we'll come back and have him escort us there in a minute. And I was just finishing up looting. I think I've got everything now in the entire city. And anyway, when my game malfunctioned the last time we were up here looking out over the distance, I had just turned up the draw distance, but it's still lacking a little bit. It's not quite where I want it to be. I might tweak that a little bit as we go, but especially during big battles, I might turn down the settings a little bit. Another little trick of the trade that we'll be using is we may at times go ahead and turn down, right? Yeah, let's see. Have I been in here? I'm going to go ahead and sleep like I did before my game crashed. I may turn down the vegetation quality, and the reason I would do that is because it would allow me to see certain herbs better. It's a little bit exploitive, but you do what you gotta do. Anyway, I believe I've looted the entire village, so let me talk to everybody here. So everybody who's involved in the fight.
Just like old times, huh? The orcs weren't all that strong. There must be other, tougher ones. What about Lester? Wasn't he going to get some reinforcement?
I can't help it. I don't like orcs. What's going on with Lester? He was going to...
I'm going to skip through some of the dialogue because it's not necessary and I can kind of summarize it, but...
What happened here?
Quite obviously, the orcs have won their war against King Robar.
Try to
And
include
now the orcs
some.
are sweeping through the land, enslaving the humans. But most of all, I would like to know what happened to Lester. We'll
Well, I
talk
keep
later.
asking about Lester. Now, in the original game, vanilla game, he is down here. By the way, that's a scavenger. Easiest enemy in the game, really. And I'm just gonna bow him. I'm really proficient with the bow as a individual human being. I'm very good with it, so I will probably be using it a lot. But, you know, in the modded version, Lester actually is scripted to walk up here from the shore down there, so it's kind of convenient. Where were you?
What's wrong?
Go look for the ship. You're not gonna find it.
What?
Pirates! It was all over in a moment.
And what about our equipment?
What do you think? We'll have to get some new stuff. Talk to Diego.
He says I need to eat. Something about fish
What are you going to do
stain.
now?
I'm gonna try and make it to the south somehow.
But we'll meet again, surely.
I should think so. Take care.
Okay. By the way, this plant right here, I mean, we'll talk about plants more, but this is a very important one. This is the most important plant in the game. It's called King Sorrel. Basically allows you to multiply the effects of other good plants. So, you know, let's say there's a plant that raises your strength. Well, King Sorrel will allow you to, like, double the effectiveness of that strength-raising plant, which is the best thing in the game. I'm just grabbing a few of these, though. Now, I would go down there and talk to the fisherman, but there's no need right now because Lester came all the way up there. So I'm just grabbing a couple plants because I want to show you something, actually. By the way, press shift, and that'll make you sprint. Boy, those plants look really nice, don't they? There's that scavenger I killed. Some plants like this are just for decoration. You cannot harvest them. But most of the plants that you can harvest look almost cartoonishly obvious. So keep that in mind as you play. Now I'm going to go back inside and finish this series of conversations here with our friends. Now these 4 people at this fire
up?
are the most
Pirates.
important people in the
Those
game.
rotten bastards made off with our treasure.
Looks like it.
We'll have to deal with that later, I'm afraid. You see, we have a problem.
What problem?
Talk to the village elder and the other dwellers. I talked to the village people.
So, what do you suggest?
First, we need to get an overview of the mess the orc... And one of us... I think...
Anything is possible.
And where will we get new equipment now?
But you know how this works.
Goes on like
Collect
that,
whatever you
it
can
never goes
find.
anywhere.
And don't let anyone take it from you. And since the orcs are now the rulers of Matana, we will get some fine equipment from them.
You should probably do it yourself.
What are you going to do now?
You know me.
I get
I'll be wherever there's something to be had. Matana is now orc territory.
Doesn't matter to you.
But kissing up to orcs just isn't my thing. I will go south.
I know, man, I know.
So at least 3 or 4 of them are going south, and I tell him I want to go with them, and... Oh, actually, I told him... He was basically instructing me that I need to steal stuff in order to get more equipment,
Yeah,
so I'm
that's what you
basically
said.
saying I want to steal your armor. And,
Are you serious?
this is something added by, I think, the quest pack, maybe the mod pack, but he basically
know that.
eventually consents and gives me the old armor, which is my first armor in the game. It's a nice little touch added by the mod.
Anything is possible.
Great hero fights without trousers.
First, a
Okay.
break. We'll talk later.
So he looks great without any armor on.
Man, I know.
But, and I'm going to do more with the inventory this episode, but I'm going to go ahead and click this. This is the armor that he just gave me. Gives me +2, +2, +2. Not very
As if I don't
nice, but
already
it
have
looks
that.
nice.
As if it were
Sorry, I can't remember how to... I'll have to remember how to do the camera angles, but...
My runes have lost their power. I don't think it's any different for the other fire mages. I'm going to set out and try to learn the ancient true magic.
What are you talking?
Before there were runes, only a very few, very powerful people could do magic. That knowledge must be found somewhere. I will seek it.
Okay, so Milton actually is really cool. In the first game, I think he was.
We will meet.
Either the first or second, I can't remember if he was the only fire mage to actually survive. There was this incident where all the mages died, but I won't get into that. But he was the only one to survive. He was the youngest at the time, and so. But he was really instrumental in both games, I think. He's a really cool fire mage, very talented guy.
Nothing get much worse.
And he's going to go try to discover ancient magic. And he's also telling me right now about this other thing about dragons. In the second game, there's this line of quests dealing with hunting and killing dragons. And he said there were a bunch of eggs.
As if I don't already have enough problems.
See, 4 dragons in the valley had spread their eggs everywhere. And he's basically saying that there were so many eggs there that they probably ended up over in the mainland too, so there's probably dragons here. And so he's basically telling me that I need to go around and kill dragons here on the mainland. New quest. Dragons, not dragons again. We're going to go over the quest interface here in a minute too, so I'll just try to skip through some of this. But he's going to go up north to try to find the monastery of the fire chalices, and
Take care.
Lester's going to go south. Gorn is going to go... Well, we'll see.
What are you
I will go search.
He's going to go search for the rebels. Yes, just like old times. Thank you for covering my back. Blah, blah, blah.
We're
Okay.
talking right now.
So that is pretty much everybody that I need to talk to here. I'm going to go talk to Hamler again.
Bad enough as
We owe you so much.
Okay. Just making my rounds one last time. Oh, he's got a scroll in his pocket. Okay, this is a quest that was added. It was originally given to you by Hamler, but they moved it to Tristan when they added him to this. And he basically took some orders out of the pocket of the Orc leader while the battle was being engaged. And so, oh crap, I didn't mean to click that right now. Oh well, we'll go. This is the next part of the game, and I meant to finish this conversation with him before I left, but we'll talk to him when we get there. He's going to show me where the rebel outpost is. Just in case you're playing along at home, you might want to, if you haven't done so already, sleep until it's daytime so you can really see this, because this is the first potential area where you would be forced to deal with enemies that could actually kill you. Also, you're going to want to learn about quick save. The default key for quick save is F5. I'm going to go ahead and push that real quick. As you can see, the screen freezes for just a minute, and then it says game save. That's a quick save. I'm going to go and grab some of these plants along the way. As a rule, I try very hard to grab plants as I go.
You just don't get it.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and help him out here. By grabbing plants as I go, whoops, be careful about hitting him, by the way. By grabbing plants as I go, it gives me an idea of what areas have been cleared out so far. There we go.
You're no great loss.
And I think I'm not the only one to notice this. I think this is a very common strategy to clear out plants as a way of marking territory that you've explored, especially in Mirtana, where plants are very ubiquitous and territory is vast. And there's a lot to do and a lot to see, etc. Just going to grab this plant real quick. You don't want to stray too far from your escort in any escort quest, because either they can get confused or you can get lost. But I wanted to grab that plant over there that I missed, so there he is. You can see the rendering in the background there. This game came out in 2006, and for its time, it had extremely good graphics and a great engine as well. It just had some little minor technical things that they could have fixed if they would have had just a little bit more time to polish it, but they just didn't have enough time. So, anyway. Heavily wooded area, as you can see. Nothing to see here. What's this over here? It looks like a hole. One of the bigger plot holes in this game is the location of this rebel camp. Here you are. Hope that outpost will never be discovered by the orcs. So, as you can see there, I gained some reputation with the rebels by finding this place, and I also got some experience, which caused me to gain my first level. So he's going to stay here. Now I want to finish this conversation I was having with him earlier. So he got this scroll from the orc in the fight, and he wants to read it first. He reads it and he says, "Oh crap, what's up? Orcs are roaming around here because Zardis ordered them to patrol the eastern bank, and he gives me the orders. I can read that, and I say, nice armor you're wearing. It's made of crawler plates, and there might be a smith called Manig who could make that. Now, one thing just saved me a little bit of time. I'm going to go over here and grab some of these healing plants. There's a reason for that. And you'll want to do this too. Watch out for wolves. Right over there, you see, in the distance right there, that is a wolf. They are by far your biggest threat in the early game of Gothic 3. So I would avoid them like the plague until you're ready, and until you quick save, and until you get maybe a little bit better armor, maybe a couple of attack skills, etc. Grabbing some of these healing plants. I want to have about 8, I think, is what you need to complete a... there's a quest that deals with having some healing plants, so I want to grab just a few of them from around here without going too far up that hill. There's a reason you don't want to go too far up that hill. You also don't want to go too far into this woods because of the wolf. So I can get away with grabbing this one, but I'm not going to go any farther than that. Okay, so I got a bunch of healing plants. Now, let's go ahead and go down to the rebel outpost. And I think I'm actually going to end it here. But before I actually get into the rebel outpost here, I want to show you just a couple real quick things. First of all, if you push I, it opens up your inventory interface. Now, a couple things to note here. I'm level 2. I gained 1 level just now. Definitely being affected here by the alternative balancing option there, because normally I'd be like level 3 or 4 by now. So this gives you a better sense of character growth. Also, when you gain levels, you get a certain number of learning points. I'll talk more about those. Obviously, those get added later. But I mean, you add them to your character's development later. But anyway, here's my current attributes that we can add to eventually when we level. Strength, hunting, which is basically dexterity. Ancient knowledge, which is basically magic power. Smithing, thieving, alchemy. Life energy, which is your health. Endurance, which is your endurance. Mana, which is your magic knowledge or, capacity to use, more spells and stuff. And then here's your armor stuff and protection, and we can talk more about that later. Now I wanted to show you this because you've got 5 categories here. First one is weapons, very self-explanatory. We got some good weapons from the orcs. Most of what we got from the orcs were these axes. As you can see, they're worth several hundred gold apiece. And then this one here is worth 1,000, which was the boss's weapon. So that was the major score from that battle. Also a couple of Krush Varuks. Krush Kimpak. I love those names. Anyway, and some other generic weapons that have less gold value. Then we have your armor. So we've got the armor that we were given there. Pretty shitty armor, to be honest, but it looks really cool. And a shield worth 150, a pretty good shield. Then you got your spells and magic objects. So these are some scrolls that I got in some chests. The fireball, light, and this teleporter stone. Now this, excuse me, this was on the table of Hamler's table in Ardea, which is the town we just came from. So make sure you get that if you didn't. That'll teleport you back to Ardea at any time. Then you got your food and potions. I don't know why they put these together, but they do. Booze, milk. So these have different attributes that you can see in the green there, and a gold value. Healing potions are probably the most important for now, but you got your mana potions and endurance potions, and some of these drink related, milk, booze, water, wine, potion against disease. You've got some other food objects here. Most importantly, raw meat, which can be cooked up into cooked meat, which can be used to restore your health and actually will become your most important health restoring object in the game, probably more so than potions even, because it gives you, once you cook them, it turns into 20%, so you just take 5 and you're at full health again. These give 25%, which is only a little bit more, so, but they're a little faster, I think, maybe, or I don't know. Anyway, and you got your plants, of course. I picked up a bunch of these, and we're going to keep picking them up. I'm not going to go through them right now. And then you got your miscellaneous objects. You got your torches, your hammers, your vials, your lockpicks, and things that you just sell, like brooms and caskets. Also, your money is located here. if I click down here, here's a visualization of my skills. Now this window can be accessed by pressing C by default. So this is I, inventory, C for character. You've got some basic skills that you come with. Sword fighter, orc slayer, bow, which is basic hunting, basic smithing, basic lock picking, basic sneaking, and basic alchemy. So those are what you come with. Now the orc slayer allows you to do more damage to orcs. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory.
There isn't much that could happen.
You can add skills as you go, and you need a certain number of learning points to unlock skills. For example, here, Game Hunter, I need 125 hunting points. Well, I got 100. If I use 20, I'd get that up to 120. Not quite enough to get Game Hunter, so, you know, you're going to want to accumulate those learning points. I'm going to tell you right now, as was the case in my other Let's Play, that my first priority of a skill to get is this one, Learn Quickly. It gives you more learning points each level. I'm going to get 50 Ancient Knowledge anyway, so why not focus on that, especially if I want to lean towards being a mage at some point. Why not focus on learning quickly and get an extra learning point per level? It'll benefit me in the long run. Although, spending that many learning points to get... I'm going to need 55 learning points to get that. By the way, in vanilla, you need 105. So this is one benefit of doing the alternative balancing. So that's... If you push C, that's what you get here. Now the next one is spells, which I believe is B. Yeah, B for spellbook. You have Magic of Dominance, Summoning Magic, and Transformation Magic. We'll talk more about that later. Next one is Documents, and you get to there by pressing M. Now you have your categories here. So you have Forging Blueprints, Cooking Recipes, which we don't have any, Alchemy Formulas, Books and Letters, and then Documents, which would include maps. So Books and Letters, let's look at the order. This is the order that fell out of the orc's pocket in the middle of that battle. Looking at it, just to kind of summarize it, basically says, orcs go forth and secure all areas at the eastern bank. No city, no farm, no forest should stay under human control. Bestow upon the sailors no reason for hope. So that's what those orders say. Gives you a little insight into the game. Finally, the last interface thing I want to go over before we end the video is the quest menu. This is down here, and you push L to get here. First of all, it gives you a very zoomed out map of the entire mainland here. This middle section with the green and red towns is called Mirtana. We came to shore right about where the ship is, right here. And this one here is Ardea. This one here is Reddick. So far in the game, we've traveled only this distance here. Clicking on Ardea brings up all of the quests associated with Ardea. Clicking on here gives you all of the quests associated with Reddick. There are none yet. Also, if you go back here, you can click Current, which will give you the ones that are current. Successful, things you've completed, and failed, things that you didn't do successfully. Also in this, you can click Main, which gives you your main quest line, and All, which gives you all missions. Main quest is to try to find Zardis. All gives me the 3 Ardea quests and the one to find Zardis. So I'm going to keep it as all for now, but also it gives you a little window with your reputation. Right now I've got 3 with the rebels and 0 with everybody else. We'll talk more about that as we progress. And it also tells you the day and the time. It's 11:47 in the morning. So I think with that, it's very bright out. Love it. But I think with that, we're going to call it an episode. So if you've been watching, thank you. And just remember, Professor Snuggles is looking out for you.